my name is Mary Lee Carter. I'm with Parker University. And interestingly enough, my position when I started this was the immersive teaching and learning specialist, but I've recently been promoted and I'm really excited about that. I'm the assistant director of learning innovation, which I feel like really encapsulates what it is I do. And this is a perfect example of one of those innovative learning. Yes, we have been implementing VR. We've been developing it for about 3.5 years, but we've actively had it in our curriculum for about 2 years. This is our second year, and we've been very intentional about it. So we're using VR both for clinical scenarios with our students and also for communication. We use a variety of different applications, and we have a digital twin university as well. So the prototype that I built, I had always wanted to develop something for specifically for our diagnostic and cardiac sonography programs, both of which are 2-year programs at Parker University, one of our College of Health Sciences. So the one that I developed was a learning space where students would need to identify specific structures of organs, areas of the body that as a result of a sonography or an ultrasound images. And if you've ever had ultrasounds done, I mean, I certainly have. To me, it's just literally shades of gray. I don't know how they discern the landmark or any of the specific structures, but they do. And so some of the things that they're required to do are to get very specific with areas of the liver, the heart, and other organs. So I wanted to be able to have the students have a place to practice that and to give it positive feedback so that they knew when their answers were correct. And it kind of gave them a yay, a little bit of gamification of that. So I worked with our faculty to develop specific areas that they would need to know right out of the beginning of their career in their academic career, and it worked really well for me. Yes, the prototype was just one image of several images that I was provided. I worked with our program director and one of our faculty members in the sonography department to to create these images, and they were live scans. They were de-identified, anonymized, so that there was nothing in there that would identify the actual scannee. It wasn't a patient; it was a student. But I would really like to have it be some kind of study tool or even a formative assessment that the faculty member could use midway through to make sure that the content is being well received and the students are able to identify within the type of imaging they would see in a clinical setting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they definitely would because they know exactly what it is that their students are gonna need to see and be able to identify. And those are the things that they'll be tested on in a summative assessment. But this gives them a way to practice that and just kind of run through and say, "Oh, okay. These are areas that I will need to know." And it's not that difficult to change those up. I think just putting them in a headset is the to me, is the best thing that you can do to start. Give them some toys or games or, ways that they can interact in a fun way, a more gamified way, because again, the movements and the controllers and how they interact with whatever the content is the same, regardless of whether they're playing Beat Saber or, killing Sith Lords or they're dissecting cadavers or identifying, landmarks in a sonography scan. They're all the same. So the lower the barriers to that type of engagement, the more likely the adoption will be for the technology. So I would always say put them in a headset. I had 0 experience with Unity, and the learning curve was pretty steep, mainly because I just didn't have the experience. Now, I did have a ringer, which was my husband, who is an IT professional and has worked in IT all of his career, and he's been learning Unity on his own for his own projects, and so he was actually able to help me navigate some of the initial parts and just some of the basics. But once I got into to the Zoe module and it made all those shortcuts and templates available, it really reduced the amount of programming that I needed to have and needed to be able to do. I think that it gave me opportunities, and so initially my thought was to use it as a probe or a transducer that would be used in sonography, and I do plan to incorporate that because I can switch those out. But just
Mm,
having the ability to hold a pen in kind of a normal way that they would mark up on their computer screens as they were making the scans, I think was actually more intuitive will be more intuitive for the students. I think just having the ability to write with it, to use it as you would a whiteboard, and then also to make it become something else. I mean, you can do that all within the same interactions. And so I like the ability to have that flexibility to use as a pen because again, even though the controllers, especially with the Quest 3, are less cumbersome than they were with some of the previous models, it's still a controller that you're holding with your hand. Being able to hold a stylus the same way that you would hold any other type of writing instrument, I think is an advantage.